Well, hello again, friends. Glad you could join us. Welcome back to the CCRL Wednesday tier. Tonight we're at the Circuit Spa Francorchamps in Belgium. What should be a fantastic round of this championship. Of course, one of the most feared, respected, either which way, racing circuits in the world. It's among the greats, that's for sure. Here's the starting order. Reimer and Charlie Gulf, the pair of the Mercedes atop the table, first and second. Of course, Reimer had nearly 8/10 of a second over his teammate. The Williams of Johnny Damon, third. Jazz in fourth in the Haas. John the Prince, fifth in the McLaren. Sixth will be the Aston of R. Manson. Seventh will be Merck. Eighth will be Jabor. Ninth will be Gundolf. 10th will be Bongit. 11th will be The Natural. Should be interesting to see what he can do. Hemphead will be 12th, and then the pair of the Red Bulls, Owa and Anyote, neither of which had set times. They will be 13th and 14th. So again, the Circuit Spa Francorchamps in Belgium here, it's one of the most definitely respected and feared racetracks in the world, and we're already getting going here. 4 lights and 5 lights atop the gantry, and they are out, and it looks as if the Mercedes, naturally, as they usually do, get a pretty good start here. It looks as if Charlie Gulf will be under pressure from Johnny Damon heading into the corner. Johnny Damon's got a huge lockup there. Bit of a pile-up, not necessarily a bit of a concertina effect there between John the Prince and a couple of the other fellas as well. I think John the Prince maybe hit the inside of the corner at La Source on the apex. Up the hill through Rouge and Radion they go. Again, it's less than 2/10 of a second. Oh, look at this, Johnny Damon up the inside of Charlie Gulf, and now, can he look to get Reimer as well? Here comes Johnny Damon into the right-hander at Lacombe, and he's absolutely got him there. Johnny Damon, your new leader, as he powers past both of the Silver Arrows in one go. Gundolf is Hemphead is way into the gravel. Bit of off-roading there. Heading down the hill in through Brussels and then into Speaker's Corner after that. Johnny Damon has the lead, followed by Reimer, then Charlie Gulf. It was a brilliant move from Johnny Damon, and not only that, he used the slipstream of Charlie Gulf to not only overtake, but then to propel himself around Reimer as well, with the energy store being used as well. It's fantastic getaway from the Williams as they make their way in towards Campus and Stavilo, not very long thereafter. Johnny Damon already has over a second advantage over that of Reimer. A bit of a trip to the gravel there for Gundolf. Bongit's going to have a look to the right side here. Oh, look at this, almost entirely into the grass, trying to find any width of the circuit that he possibly can, Bongit. He's not been able to. He'll have to try to outbrake him into the chicane here at the end of the lap. Be a bit bold to try it now. He has not tried it. DRS will be activated now as they make their way. This will be, they'll get their first taste after Rouge and Radion heading down the Kemmel Straight. We didn't quite get a chance to see yet what the tire strategy is. We can tell you who's on what, though, and I say it's probably quite an even 50-50 mix here. Matter of fact, that's exactly what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars on the softs, 7 cars on the mediums. So, this one ought to be fun as far as strategy. We've got a lot of discrepancy, as it turns out. Usually we'll have maybe only 1 or 2 guys in the off-compounded tires. No, it is legitimately a 50-50 split as the Natural trying to make his way down to the inside of Gundolf. Oh, and the Natural is head first into the barrier. He's actually done well to get that car back down and is able to avoid the barriers coming off of Lacombe. And, he's not hit anything aside from the Sauber that sent him round, but he can continue as he was. Johnny Damon has the lead. As it turns out, DRS has not been able to phase the advantage that the Williams has put together. The Haas of Jazz is trying his best to get up to Charlie Gulf and Reimer here. But the problem is with Charlie Gulf and Reimer is that these guys, not only are they teammates, that's all fine and dandy, they are also immediate drivers' championship rivals as well. So Jazz is going to have a difficult time overtaking them because they will be racing each other whilst also trying to potentially work together to get up to Johnny Damon. It's an incredibly interesting, what's the word I'm looking for? Relationship, potentially? Partnership? I don't quite know. But Jazz to the inside now of Charlie Gulf. He's going to look to outbrake him into the chicane. Reimer did not really help his teammate out there. He was rather parked in front of Charlie, which was absolutely going to leave the second Mercedes there vulnerable. As it turns out, nothing has been made of that overtake attempt, but I think Reimer, by doing that, may have drawn the line as where his priorities lay. That could absolutely be the case now. because that's going to tell Charlie Golf that Reimer is more focused on potentially his second position than he is, working together as far as the team. It appears Hemphead has had a bit of a go-round there at La Source. He seems to have gotten it back together. Charlie Golf is going to have a peek at Reimer here. He's not actually going to overtake Reimer. I think maybe did he back off there slightly. Either way, what I will say, they have put about 8/10 behind the Haas, as John the Prince is next up in line to try to overtake Jazz, as we are now almost about halfway through the third lap. Have another quick reminder of where things stand. The top 5 are the same of which they started, albeit just in slightly different order. Johnny Damon has started third. He's made his way up to the top spot, and for the time being has remained unchallenged. Merck has taken Manson for 6th. Owa is up 3. Gundolf down 2. Anyote up 2. So Gundolf, Natural, and Hemphead all losing 2 spots there. So this is where it gets interesting here, because I think somewhere Johnny Damon is struggling, but the 2 Mercedes have yet to actually find out what it is and to exploit. That car, as heading into campus here, and then exiting Stavilo, looks as if Jabor was able to fend off Bong it, at least for the time being. But as I was saying, the 2 Mercedes have actually yet to understand where the weaknesses of Johnny Damon, because again, Damon started that previous lap. It was over a second, I think, nearly ahead of the 2 Mercedes behind him. And obviously heading into Lacombe after the Kemmel Straight with DRS, the Williams wasn't necessarily tested. I think what it could be, those soft tires might be starting to wear out here. And we might be getting to the point where the mediums will start to take over as the preferred tire to be on, as if they, not necessarily weren't already. I think without weather in the forecast that I know of, I think the mediums should have been the correct way to go about it. Hemphead has got a 10er for speeding into the pit lane. Not sure what that's about. Reimer to the inside now. He will take Johnny Damon. This is where Charlie Golf could get in the mix here. He will also take Johnny Damon, at least to the inside there. Is he going to be able to power his way around the Williams? Well, they've made lots of contact there. And, eventually, a bit of bump there from Johnny Damon. Hopefully he's not caused any damage to his own car. A bit of a lockup, nearly losing the car there on the back end going into Brussels. That could have opened the door for Jazz. And then, of course, John the Prince is, on the outside looking in slightly, but, that was definitely close there for Damon. Who, again, we talk about Damon having these issues with, having problems snowball for him. That was very quickly a position where that could have snowballed, and it hasn't. So Johnny Damon holds on to at least third. That's a good place to be, I think, at least for the time being. For what it's worth, of those in the top 5, only 2 of them on the softs. That'll be Johnny Damon and John the Prince. The rest are on mediums as far as that. As far as the top 10 are concerned, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those on the mediums. The other 4 residing on the softs. Jazz is now going to have a peek to the outside of Damon heading into the chicane. That's a bit of a bold move there. But I think as far as Jazz is concerned, that's done a little bit of a, hey, he's knocking on the door. He's, allowing him or putting Johnny Damon on notice, perhaps. Into La Source, and Johnny Damon's now losing time to the 2 Mercedes ahead. I think those soft tires are definitely starting to catch up with him here. What I will say is that John the Prince is actually holding on to the back end of Jazz quite well. The million-dollar question is now going to be how these 2 Mercedes cars react to each other heading down the Kemmel Straight into Lacombe. It's about 4/10 a second, the gap between them. Johnny Damon's actually outside of DRS range now. He's got it, naturally preemptively from going into Rouge and Radio and being within a second. He's now outside of that. As that car appears to be struggling. Again, he had that contact with the back end of Charlie Golf's Mercedes last time round. It doesn't appear, again, that he's got any visible wing damage, so I think we can rule that one out. Although, for what it's worth, he was wheel-to-wheel, having lots of contact there with the Mercedes going into Lacombe. Potentially is there side pod damage that we can't see that could be slowing down the Williams. That's always a possibility. And that's not something that's easily... I don't believe that's something that's fixed either on a pit stop. You could replace a front wing. You can't necessarily do a bodge job on the side of the car or in the rear wing, as a matter of fact. So I think Johnny Damon might be in a world of hurt here. Of course, not to mention as well, he is on the off compound of tire for the time being. Yeah, this one might start to slip away from him here. Jazz is going to be pressuring Johnny Damon going through Blanchemont and heading in towards the chicane at the end of the lap. Meanwhile, the 2 Mercedes still within about 3/10 of a second of each other, heading into the corner. As it appears, unfortunately, Hemphead has left the session. Tell you what, a lot of action here already, but this looks slightly child's play compared to the last time when we was at Monza and we had that off and on rain. Well, the rain was pretty much there the whole time. It only turned into intermediate tire quality rain. Oh, that's a big one there for Charlie. He has spun that car. He's head on into the wall, exiting La Source. That car is now scattered the circuit with pieces of front wing, and he's got to do an entire lap of the circuit to be able to get back around to the pit lane, and he's got to do it without a front wing. Wow, that's terrible. Jazz is going to get around Johnny Damon. I think that, again, was pure error from Charlie Golf. They were exiting La Source. Reimer was ahead of him, I think, far enough to not have played any sort of factor in that, and that car went clean round. He had a bit of a correction there, and then eventually that Mercedes just kind of dumped it to the inside there, going through La Source, and that car is in a world of hurt now. And by the way, again, the two Mercedes cars, they are championship rivals with each other, realistically. Constructor champion leading team. And if we look at the driver standings, yeah, I mean, Reimer, hang on. Well, Charlie Golf actually led point standings coming into today, 28 points over Reimer. And this very much looks like a day where Charlie Golf could be losing quite a lot. Not ideal. Not ideal whatsoever. We have a yellow flag. It appears the Ferrari of Bong. It's had a bit of a go-around somewhere. That's over by Stavilo. Reimer's got 1.7 back to Jazz. Jazz got about 8/10 back to Damon. Damon still experiencing some woes with his Willie here. John the Prince as they exit La Source. Well, half a second behind Damon. I think the top few cars are starting to get spread out. What I will say, it is starting to look quite cloudy over that way, towards the left-hand side of the circuit. Rain in the forecast, potentially. I tell you what, back that way, it does look quite cloudy. I haven't seen anything regarding rain. I have not been pinged in the Discord, but John the Prince is putting Johnny Damon on notice there around the right side. I think John the Prince actually got a bit loose on acceleration there. I didn't hear or visibly see any contact between himself and the Williams. That car got all out of shape there, going around the right side of turn 8 through Lacombe. Let's go on with Manson. Manson's got half a second back to Merck, and one of the other closest battles on track. Oh, and it appears we have a yellow flag going in towards the speaker's corner. That, I believe, is Bong It. Yes, it is. That car has had a bit of a go-around somewhere along the line. It looks like he's as if he's regained his composure and we can get back going. John the Prince is within 2/10 of a second. And I'm a little surprised they didn't throw at least a virtual safety car for Charlie Golf there after his incident. His front wing was totally gone. And the front wing was pretty much all within the circuit. It wasn't on the racing line necessarily, but it was definitely on the racing surface down to the inside over there. I'm a little surprised that wasn't at least a virtual safety car, especially considering that's on pit lane exit as well. Virtual, maybe even a full safety car would have been quite necessary there. Four-tenths of a second. John the Prince reeling in. Damon here. He'll try it now around the outside, or around the right side at least. And, well, goodness me, the pace that the McLaren showed with that maneuver. Second to none. A yellow flag exiting La Source. Bong appears to have had another bit of a go-around then. Natural is making his way to the inside of Agnote. And up to the 10th spot for the Natural. Remember, he had that incident earlier on in the Grand Prix. Coming here through La Source. I believe that was on either the opening lap or the lap thereafter. Where that car was taking a trip towards the barrier, where he was able to get the car slowed down enough to not hit the wall, going through the gravel. Now the yellow flag. Oh, Gundolf's gone round. Yes, he has. That's over at Speaker's Corner. Slightly an odd place to be losing the car. That is well off to the inside Exiting, was that turn 9, I believe it is on paper? No, that's not true. That's turn 11. Yeah, a bit of an odd place to lose a car that. I'm a little surprised. I'm not really sure what's happened there. I think just pure error. That's what I would probably chalk that up to. Either way, just checking for damage. Oh, he does have some front wing missing on the left side, actually. Yes, because that is where he would have hit the wall, so that checks out. Bongit's had a bit of a go into the gravel there. Charlie Golf up behind him. Oh, slide for Bongit. Bongit keeps it out of the barriers, thankfully. That one was almost bad. Exiting La Source now, the battle rages on for the third spot. Johnny Damon within half a second of John the Prince as they make their way down the Support Series pit straight and up the hill going in through Al Rouge and Radion. Reimer's actually got a 3-second penalty now for having exceeded track limits somewhere going through Al Rouge and Radion, as now Johnny Damon to the inside, and nearly even before they get DRS, that car is pulled ahead of the McLaren. We do now have, that is a yellow flag exiting La Source, and it looks as if Agnote has had a bit of a go-around there. Just checking for damage on the Red Bull, and it doesn't initially appear that he has any. Nope, I'm going to say no to that. Gundolf in the pit lane. He is replacing a front wing. That is with the delay. As we get another yellow flag. That looks like Bongit again. Yes, it's been a very unfortunate day for Bongit. I'm not rightly sure what's been plaguing that Ferrari, but it's not good. 0.6 of a second between Prince and Reimer. Manson has fallen off the back end of Merck. He's about a second down the road. I have to believe we've got pit window coming up here shortly, especially, as we've got, sorry, that appears to be on, exiting Brussels, actually. Yes, it is. Well, that car's missing a hell of a lot of front wing. And again, no sign of the safety car or virtuals, I believe, at least this time. The front wing has been shed well away enough off of the racing surface. So that's unfortunate there for Owa, who's now going to do pretty much half a lap of the circuit with no front wing on the right side. That is very unfortunate indeed for the Red Bull. Entering the pit lane now is both Johnny Damon and John the Prince. Both of these guys elected to start this Grand Prix on the soft tire, so we can assume they're going to the hards now. Potentially if the mediums, if they're feeling lucky. I kind of doubt they're going to do that, but I could be wrong. And I am. Wrong answer for me, as onto the medium tires, John the Prince. Johnny Damon appears, yep, he's gone to the... what are those? Oh, I didn't quite get a look at the color of the tire. Yep, that looks yellow to me. So both to the medium tires. That surprises me maybe a little bit there. I kind of figured that we were going to see some of them hard tires on display. I'm assuming that those on the medium tires who started the race then are going to be going to the hards here shortly. That would be my educated guess. Bit of weaving about there from Johnny Damon to try to break the toe. Into Brussels now. 0.7 of a second. Bit of a slide. Almost about halfway through this Grand Prix. The clouds are still... I don't believe overcast is the right word quite yet. I would say mostly cloudy. Although it does appear to be getting slightly more cloudy than it was earlier on. I don't believe rain is in the picture. If it was, that'd be great. As Reimer on his way into the pit lane, yes he is, from the medium tires. We can assume he's going to the hards here. Hard tires for Reimer. Bongit's now got a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Manson's on his way in as well. We can assume Manson might be going to the hards here. I'm not sure. No, he'll go to the mediums as well. These, I tell you what, for what it's worth, these soft tires held on a lot longer than I thought they were going to. They've actually taken on... They haven't remained competitive for as long as the medium tires, but it is usually a bit of a shock to see the mediums and the softs have relatively the same operating window as... Oh, sorry, I hate to cut myself off here, but Jabor's actually just gotten around Reimer for that third spot. So going in through the Kemmel Straight into Brussels. Into Lacombe. I thought Natural was going to have a go at John the Prince. R. Manson there. Oh, I'm all over the place now. I thought, as R. Manson's got a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Reimer now to the left side, entering Puhan. This is gutsy. I think even by Reimer standards, that one was a little biting off more than he could chew there. He's backed out of it. I think that one would have been overtake of the year if he pulled it off. I think it would have been a blunder of the year if he didn't. But as I was saying, regarding the medium tires and the soft tires, it's not usual that we see the mediums and softs have the same operating window. Of course, naturally, the medium tires will have been better than the soft tires for some time now, but usually those soft tires will be off the cliff well before the mediums. And that's not been the case here. They've actually gone about the same distance. And now, I think maybe these guys pitting, the ones that already have, maybe are going for a bit of an undercut. As onto the soft tires, actually, for Jazz. So he'll be the first of the medium tire runners to choose the softs, as that's a bit of a surprise. He'll have to go 10 laps on those soft tires. That does seem quite a lot. Up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radion. Reimer's right up along the back of Jabor here. And around the left side, he's going to go. Jabor having yet to make his pit stop, as well as Merck and Natural. Reimer back up to second, looking to eventually take back his rightful place at the top of the grid. Johnny Damon battling Jazz for everything he's got for the time being. Damon has been unable to get round the Haas, although he is all over the back of the MoneyGram Haas at the moment. The Haas is going to drift wide through Brussels. He's going to be able to hold it enough and get good acceleration to remain ahead of the Williams. Exiting Speaker's Corner, heading into Puhan, the double left-handed corner. Looks as if we're still. I think the Haas is going to be better in the short term here. I think we get to the back end of this race, those last 5-6 laps or so. Jazz might fall off quite a bit with those softs, having then going to be the, not ideal tire to be on. We'll have to wait and see. Bongit's got a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That puts himself at 9 seconds. Here goes Johnny Damon looking for the left side now. Jazz is allowing him the outside. That'll transform to the inside as they exit the second part of the chicane, and Damon has unfortunately had to back out of that one. Did not have a move going. Merck is in the pit lane now, and it will be soft tires for Merck. So, actually, I tell you what, this is a very interesting race, strategical now, because we've got guys like Reimer, who have taken the hards. Charlie Golf is Charlie Golf at the pit for the air for the front wing he made anyway. Those who started on the softs have gone to the mediums. Oh, Jazz has actually been slightly forced off the circuit there. It's 3 wide. So that was a little interesting, I'll admit. Jabor and Jazz were side by side. Jabor has, I don't want to immediately throw him out the window and in front of a moving bus and say that he's forced Jazz well down to the inside to allow Johnny Damon there. But it does appear immediately as if Jabor has tried to really mug off the Haas in order to allow Damon round. For what it's worth as well, that's the correct thing to do, because Johnny Damon is currently within range of getting ahead of Reimer after the penalty is applied at the end of the Grand Prix. The question might be, have some of these guys taken the soft tire knowing that there could be some rain at the back end of the session? So use the pace now, because if you have to put on intermediates, that is a very fair question. I would assume under normal circumstances, a lot of guys would have chosen the hard tires in that scenario, because the softs are going to be well dead by the time we get to the back end of the Grand Prix. It is clouding up quite well. Could there be rain in the future and a trip to the intermediates necessary, and that's why we're seeing guys take the soft tire? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Let's see what Jabor does. If Jabor takes the softs here, that'll kind of be the telltale sign. Well, he's got to have to, isn't he? He's got less than 10 laps to go. I would. Unfortunately, I don't believe this stop is telling us anything as much as I thought it was going to. Yeah, soft tires there for Jabor. Up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radion. This is truly a battle for potentially even the win here. As Reimer's 3-second penalty, he's on those hard tires. He's not, necessarily going to be competitive here in the short term, as Jazz is going to power around Johnny Damon with the aid of DRS and even a bit of energy store being used. So he'll take the second spot. He's got himself within 2.3 of Reimer's Mercedes atop the grid. Of course, the hard tires will work their way in to the correct way to be towards the back end of the session. I think for now, and actually for what it's worth, Jazz Boys is putting... Jazz is taking off a lot of time to Reimer. It's about 2.3 when he made the overtake on Damon. It's now 1.9. Do the math on that one. That's a lot of time. Almost now 1.8. Yeah, that Haas is cooking for the time being. We'll check back with him in a little bit to see where he comes up to. Jabor is about 4/10 away from Charlie Gulf. Gulf has actually rebounded quite nicely here. He's got himself back up to at least 7. Having had to pit earlier with the front wing damage he sustained after slipping and sliding, exiting La Source and hitting the wall on the inside. So for what it's worth, yeah, Jabor trying to make his way to Charlie Gulf for the 7th spot. Lots of cars with penalty, although what I will say is the majority of them are towards the back end of the grid. Of course, Manson in 6th has one. Reimer up in the top spot has one as well. So this will be interesting to see if Reimer can race his way around the 3-second penalty. The line next time by will be 7 laps to go here in this Belgian Grand Prix. Been very quick moving, we'll say that much. Heading into Lacombe, and it looks as if Damon is not able to get up close to Jazz just yet. Gundolf's got 3 seconds for multiple warnings. That'll put himself at 6. 3/10 of a second, though, between Damon and Jazz, and either way, these two cars are really shaving off the time to Reimer. About 1.5 seconds now, considering just, what was it, a lap ago was 2.3. These guys are flying. I think for Damon, what's important here is that as long as he stays within the slipstream of Jazz and, was able to hold DRSs, we have a yellow flag exiting the chicane there. It looks as if something's happened with Bung. He's got it sorted, whatever it is. As long as Johnny Damon stays within reach of Jazz here and Jazz keeps taking this time off to Reimer, Johnny Damon's going to put himself in a really good position at the end of this race. Because let's put it this way, right? Reimer's on the hards. His car will be best towards the back end of the run. Jazz's best is going to be now. Johnny Damon has the happy medium, the just slightly warm thing of porridge then, as the 3 little bears make their way in through the chicane to begin the 16th lap. I say slightly warm, I think it's actually just right is what it's supposed to be. That doesn't make any sense to me. Just right. Not too hot, not too cold. So it's got to be hot then, surely. You wouldn't have porridge cold, would you? I don't know. Four and a half tenths the gap here. Damon's going to try to go for this one now. Jazz has not really shaved off that much time in the previous lap. Damon has made that move happen. The question is Johnny Damon going to start to pull ahead to Jazz? Is Reimer going to put time behind a Damon? It's the second option, surely. Reimer's already put about 2/10 back to the Williams. Yeah, I tell you what, Johnny Damon's actually now losing time to the back end of Reimer. Tell you what, the clouds have taken over. In the words of Jim Carrey in whatever the hell that movie was, so you're telling me there's a chance. One can hope. Exiting the chicane. I tell you what, Damon, all the time that Jazz had worked to actually claw back to Reimer here, Damon's actually slightly gone and lost, and now it's in the negatives, really. They started this pursuit of Reimer. They're about 2.3 behind Reimer. They're now, as I was saying, 2.7. The worst part is that Jazz is actually, I think, the best operating window of those softs is well and long behind him. This is what we were worried about here. Because Jazz's softs are now clearly the weaker of the three-tire compounds leading the grid here. Damon, while I think is on the best tire for now, he's not exactly making any time up to Reimer. As we get a yellow flag at the back, it appears Agnote is off. I was trying to be clever there. I didn't come up with it quick enough. Agnote's got off the circuit there, going through the chicane. Charlie Golf now to the inside of Jabor. That'll be for the 7th position. Good move, and that one was in the works for quite some time as well. I think Jabor was in the process of battling Charlie Golf, but I think had gotten around him there eventually. Charlie Golf now back up to 7th, having now on those hard tires. So what's interesting is that through the beginning of Sector 2 is quite gray and gloomy. As you go up through Sector 1, it is now also quite gray. The back end of Sector 3, still some daylight seeping through. When you know it's possible to rain is when you stop seeing shadows like this. For the time being, it does certainly give off the vibe that we're going to see some rain. We've got a lot of time left in this race as well. 5 laps to go now for Reimer. By the way, these are minute 40 lap times. Minute 45, actually. I mean, yeah, we still got quite a bit of time towards the back end of this race, so it's possible. I'm not going to say it's going to happen. It is possible, though. It certainly looks as if. 0.3 of a second, Merck coming to Jonathan Prince here around the outside. Yeah, good one for Merck. Exiting Malmedy into Brussels. The yellow flag at the back, Agnote is gone around there. Looks like he's regained his composure, whatever the error may have been. Jabor has now actually gotten round Charlie Golf heading into Lacombe. And he's now up to 7th once more. Jonathan Prince 0.5 behind Merck. Jazz is now actually falling nearly outside of a second on Johnny Damon. This is where it gets interesting. Because again, we're talking about Johnny Damon. His tires are probably still the best out of the top 3. That is true for now. The question remains, is Reimer going to be able to put, the 6/7 of a second he needs back to Damon in these last 4 laps to be able to win this Grand Prix outright? Of course, penalty is present for the Mercedes. For the time being, he will fall to that 2nd spot. That is unless he can get that delta. Oh, and that could do it there. Damon's had a bit of a slide exiting the chicane, and that will get him outside of 3 seconds. Reimer is now about 0.2 to the good. Johnny Damon, that Williams is all over the road for the time being. Had a bit of a slip there exiting the chicane. Had a bit of a slip exiting La Source. He's now, again, 0.2 of a second to the bad. As Reimer is not necessarily pulling away, but Damon's making error. And again, for what it's worth, it does appear to be quite gray. As we have a yellow flag, one of the Ferraris has gone round. I believe it's a back marker, so we won't need to worry necessarily about this one. No, he's gotten it back on track either way. John the Prince within 0.4 of a second of Merck. That'll be for the 4th spot if that one happens. Charlie Golf seems to have put Jabor behind him once more. Jazz has actually gotten himself back within 0.5 second on Johnny Damon. That being for the 2nd spot. 8/10 of a second between Jazz and Johnny. Johnny is lost. Now 7/10 to the back end of Reimer. Coming to the line, we got 3 laps to go here in Spa. We'll just have a quick look at the remaining races on schedule. Coming up next week, April the 9th in Spain. Into the final 3 rounds of the season. Spain next week. Canada April 23rd and Brazil April 30th. In this 7th season of the Wednesday tier. Up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radion. John the Prince 3/10 of a second behind Merck. Damon is now outside of a second. Back to the point of Reimer losing it on penalty. Through the double left at Pujon. John the Prince still behind by 4.5 of a second. The line this next time by will be 2 laps to go. Whoa. Ferrari having a bit of an error there. Doesn't appear we're going to get the rainstorm after all like I was hoping for. Unless, do the virtual racing gods shine on us and we get some drama. Well, the yellow flag, and as that Gundolf has gone around, yes he has. I'm afraid he's shed a bit of front wing as well. That's not gone well. Reimer up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radion. He's now got 2 seconds to the good over Johnny Damon with the penalty applied. Damon looks as if he's not going to be challenged by Jazz anymore. That'll be good news for Damon. For Jazz, 3rd place is a very respectable result for him. As Bonget's got 3 seconds. Jazz will put him +1. Merck will be +3. Charlie Golf, the biggest loser today, -5. Agnote +4. It looks like he'll actually go driver of the day. I'd actually put it to Merck for what it's worth there. As we've got, that's the Haas of the Natural who's gone round exiting the chicane. Unfortunate for him. Doesn't actually appear he's lost many position. As Gundolf into the gravel, that is exiting Campus. It's about to be heading into Stavilo after that. It does eventually. John the Prince 3/10 of a second behind Merck, making their way. Heading towards Campus and Stavilo once more. Gundolf's got himself a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That'll put him up to 9. Reimer at the line this time will be his. Will begin the final lap of the Grand Prix. Again, a very fast-moving Belgian Grand Prix as Gundolf has retired. I believe, is that in the pit lane? Yes, it is, thankfully enough. Gundolf was having a bit of an unfortunate day there, especially with that most previous incident. Prior to that, he was on some pace for at least some points. That would have been something. John the Prince heading in towards La Source. The Alpine's going to drift a bit high. That one nearly allowed John the Prince to swipe in underneath. It's not gone that way. Jabor to the back end of Charlie Golf. He'll have one more lap to try to take that 7th position. John the Prince, less than 2/10 of a second now. He'll have a look to the left side around Merck, and it looks like he's going to get that one. That pretty much seals the deal that John the Prince will come home in 4th, unless... Does John the Prince, even perhaps pick up a penalty somewhere along the line? It's certainly possible. Or does Merck chase him down and retake the position? Well, Merck's made a bit of an error there. Reimer about to enter Sector 3 for the final time. Half a second for Merck. Through Pouan. I don't believe he's going to be close enough now. Reimer making his way through Campus and Stavilo for the final time. It's been a heck of a season so far for Reimer. He won't take the lead in the championship after today's round, but you've got to admit that heading into the final 3 races of the season, the advantage absolutely has to be for Reimer. He's had a hell of a lot of momentum in these past couple of rounds, and he'll do it again here. Exiting the final corner and across the line, Reimer will win the Belgian Grand Prix. Johnny Damon will come across the line in second. Jazz, assuming he's going to be able to hold off John the Prince here. Oh, he may not. Yes, he will. Only just. I'll tell you what, that was a very close one there for Jazz. John the Prince nearly got in position to take 4th. But the Haas of Jazz will take 3rd. Nicely done for him. Merck will take 5th. Manson 6th. It looks like it'll be Charlie Golf in 7th. Jabor's actually picked up a penalty somewhere along the line on that final lap. That one hurt. Waiting for the final couple of cars to come around the corner. Hey, be sure to join us next time out when we head to the Barcelona-Catalonia circuit in Spain for what should be a fantastic round yet again. The CCRL Wednesday tier for Hotspot. It has been a pleasure joining you once again, and we'll see you next time. Congratulations to Reimer.